Today we're talking about time, a precious commodity, and there's only so much of it, or so they say. And in particular, how it relates to the law of attraction. Why does it seem so frustrating? The waiting game, if you will. Um, is that what's going on? Why does it seem to take so long? Is time an obstacle? How can I speed things up? Do I need to speed things up? We're going to put this all into perspective for you today. This is a big one, everybody. So I hope everybody is able to enjoy today's live stream chat. This is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, perceived obstacle in manifesting. So, for example, how many times have you seen a YouTube video? And I made one recently, actually, and it's a good question. It's a very good question. You've seen a YouTube video talking about what to do when you're way too focused on how it's going to happen, right? And we all do. I still do it sometimes. I've just been doing this for longer, and so I catch myself faster, right? I catch myself like right away. And that's really kind of the name of the game. That's when you know that you're reaching that mastery level, when you automatically catch yourself doing those things, right? It's not that we're going to make that all stop forever and you're never going to do that ever again. And that's just not the way it works. Unless maybe you're Jesus, I don't know. But you know, you feel energetically, even perhaps, that I'm going to get this thing to show up. You may get some intuitive information. Your intuition is telling you, yeah, you're good. It's done. It's going to happen. You just know it's going to happen. And then 6 months later, you're like, where's my thing? Where's my manifestation? What's taking so long? Right? Or even though you're sure it's going to happen, you get way too focused on the how. How is this going to happen? I got to make sure it's going to happen. And then that's when somebody like me would tell you, well, maybe you're too focused on the absence of it instead of the presence of it by asking how so much. It's like you're affirming to the universe over and over again that you don't have it because you're so focused on the how, and you're not trusting in the universe and yada yada, all this kind of stuff that you've maybe heard other law of attraction people talk about, which can be true. Sometimes this is the thing that you don't usually hear from other law of attraction teachers, usually. And it's not out of neglect or malice. I'm not putting anybody down. It's just, I feel like the practical side of things don't get the attention they need. And that's part of the reason people struggle. And then there's the magical part of things that everybody wants to talk about. And that's the stuff that's fun to talk about. And that's what everybody focuses on. And I'm over here going, well, you got to kind of do a little of both. So in other words, maybe sometimes you do need to focus on how. You know? And then other times it's like, wait, I'm way too focused on how, right? And so we're going to talk about that today, how to balance those two out. And time is actually your friend in that kind of situation. It's not your enemy. It's not your enemy. And so this kind of brings my opening statement full circle, doesn't it? You're focusing on the absence of it, and you're going, what in the world is taking so long? Or how am I going to do this? How am I going to pull this off? How am I going to make this happen? How am I going to make this work? Right. And so you're like trying to get it to happen. You're worried about the how, and it doesn't seem to be showing up over and over and over again. It's not showing up. It's still not showing up. It's still not showing up. And at the same time, you got to take a step back and kind of ask yourself, well, yeah, why is it taking so long? What? What's the deal? Like, why? Why does it take so long? That's very strange. I thought I was supposed to be able to wave a magic wand and it'll just start to work, right? And by the way, I have a magic wand. For real. Maybe I'll do a little bit of show and tell today. I think I'll do a little bit of show and tell today. So we're going to talk about time and how really consistency and patience are your greatest allies. And you can manifest things quickly, but it kind of depends on what it is you're manifesting. By the way, point of order, I just want to tell everybody, I'm getting not tongue-tied, but mind-tied. I want to say hi to my moderator and tell everybody to say hi. There you go. Proper English. So say hi to Annie. She's my moderator here today. On a volunteer basis, she is here for absolutely free. Cheers to Annie. Thank you very much. Everybody, please kudos. Kudos to the Annie. And hit the like button for the Annie. We're doing this for free, guys. Absolutely free. Well, kind of. I mean, honestly, I do charge money for questions. If you have a question to ask, yes, give me a super chat. But then again, you could give me a quarter. I don't care. You give me a cent and I'll answer your question. So yes, the super chats are turned on for questions. Otherwise, guys, just grab your popcorn, sit back, and enjoy today's super chat questions and the lesson that I'm here to deliver to you for free, absolutely free, the teaching that I am giving you today about time. Now, I think for you to really get the problem with time, we have to look at the practical side of manifesting to make this make sense for you, right? And I kind of alluded to that during the intro there. Let's talk about time itself first. So I've said before, and it's not untrue, that I'm going to adjust my tripod here a little bit. There is no such thing as time, right? There's no such thing as time. Well, relatively speaking, I mean, sometimes I do say that just to quickly get through a talking point, right? But ultimately, is there time? Well, sort of. It depends. And the thing that you're going to have to wrap your head around when it comes to manifesting is a thing called dichotomy or perhaps paradox. And ultimately, the deeper you go into self, you know, you are a creator, you're a soul, you're a consciousness. That is what dissolves paradox. You realize there are no paradoxes, and it's just a matter of perspective. It depends on how you look at it. And this is something that physicists struggle with, and they struggle with it a lot less these days, because many of them are starting to realize just how weird the universe is, like how the universe functions, like how it works. It's very strange how it works, and paradoxical often. Like a particle that can be in one place or all places at the same time. You know, the collapse of the wave function, which is a phenomenon they observed during the double slit experiment. So, is there time? Well, we certainly seem to experience time, down here in the 3D world. But when you reach a higher plane, plane, of existence, there isn't time. Everything is happening all at once. And this is what conventional physics says. So this is where you can kind of make connections between like quantum physics and relativity. So quantum physics is the branch of physics where they study the very, very small particles, atoms, quarks, electrons, neutrinos, Higgs boson, these types of things. And it's a very strange world. And there appears to be quite a randomness underlying it. Well, I would call it an intelligence. There appears to be free will in operation. Now, that's quantum physics. Relativity is the very large, right? So whole entire clusters of galaxy clusters, enormous swaths of outer space, where you can observe the bending of light around objects and even the bending of time around objects. So is there time? Yes, from our 3D perspective, sure. But even from our 3D perspective, and remember, consciousness is what observes things from different perspectives. Consciousness solves the paradox equation. So do you remember in algebra, just to make sure that you're clear about how I'm using this lingo? In algebra class, the teacher would say, solve for x. So consciousness solves for the paradox. And as I've said before, consciousness is the universal solvent. So, from our conscious perspective down here in density, in 3D reality, we see that there appears to be time, but even still, time is malleable because you can manipulate it by adding or subtracting energy. That's very interesting. So time itself appears to even bend around objects, and so does light, more or less. Light for sure. Time is affected by objects. You could say it bends around objects. And I mean, that is true. If any of you have ever watched that movie Interstellar, you seen that movie Interstellar? Do you remember the part where they were down on the planet's surface and the planet itself is also orbiting a black hole, and for every, I don't remember exactly what the conversion was, but it was like for every 1 minute that they spend on the planet's surface, you know, like 2 months would pass on the spaceship orbiting the planet. But the people that went down onto the planet, time kind of sped up. Or did it slow down? I guess it depends on how you look at it, right? And that's real. Physicists were actually very delighted that in this movie Interstellar, they actually got that part correct. It really does work that way. So Earth has a certain size and time passes at a certain rate. But if you were to go, say, to a planet that was the size of the sun, time would pass at a much different rate. You wouldn't know it. I mean, spiritually, you might notice it. I have noticed this from my own experience and from the feedback I get from you guys and like my coaching students and, you know, just the people I talk to in this community. yeah, you do experience time speeding up or slowing down sometimes. You notice that it's changed. But for all intents and purposes, if you had a watch, you're looking at your watch, it's not going to change. You're not going to see the hands moving any faster. So it's comparative. That's why Einstein called it his theory of relativity, things being relative. So time on the planet, which is the size of the sun that you go to, in my analogy here, seems to be moving much more slowly from the perspective of somebody here on Earth. On Earth, it's been 2 months. And for the person standing on the surface of the other planet, which is the size of the sun, big planet, it's been like 2 minutes. And you've experienced 2 months. And that's really how that works. So is there time? I guess, yeah, but it's malleable from our perspective. Now, again, from the perspective of the highest dimension, all of these events are happening all at the same time. When you energetically move beyond light speed, time basically doesn't exist. And it's not that you're like going into the past or anything like that. It's that all events, past, present, and future, are all happening simultaneously. So for example, this is where relativity, which is what we just talked about, and quantum physics, they kind of converge a little bit. And this is why scientists are searching for, they call it the, oh, come on. Why can't I think of this? The unified field theory. Because they notice these congruencies between these two extremes. Relativity being, again, the very, very large, whole entire clusters of galaxy clusters, right? And the very, very small, quantum physics, particles. And time is an interesting one. Time is where they see connections. So in quantum physics, you have something called quantum field theory, which is where there appear to be these different, and they've confirmed it. This is what they have proven at, for example, the Large Hadron Super Collider in France. It's partially in France and partially in Sweden. Pretty sure Sweden. France and Sweden. It's big, right? It goes between two countries. It's a huge atom smasher. And they have actually proven, yeah, these higher dimensional planes, PLA, Switzerland, thank you, I was close. These planes, 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 a plane, these higher dimensional planes do exist. And you can tell they exist because there is activity there which causes physical reality. And you might be going, wait, what do you, causes physical reality to do what? Right? You might think, I didn't finish my sentence there. Causes physical reality to do what, Kurt? That's all. These higher dimensional planes cause physical reality. and these are invisible. These are invisible. These higher planes, they're barely indetectable, or barely detectable, almost indetectable. And this is where time appears to have no meaning whatsoever, because it's like you're going beyond the light barrier. See, we know that the universe is expanding faster than the speed of light, and there's not supposed to be anything that goes faster than the speed of light. And with the exception of the expansion of the universe, nothing does go faster than the speed of light. That's why the sky is black at night, by the way, because the universe is expanding faster than light. That's why the sky is dark at night. There's an interesting documentary film that I have all of my manifesting students watch. It's called Everything and Nothing. It's called Everything and Nothing. I believe it was on BBC. And it's actually very, very easy for the layperson to digest. So I highly recommend it. There's only one single part towards the very end where he gets like super technical. And even I had to like stop it and back it up 15 seconds and watch it about 5 times to finally get what he was saying, because it's right on the edge of that paradox. It's so, this is the part of science that motivates physicists to do what they do, because you hit this barrier where you know you're looking at a paradox, and it's esoteric the way that it works. And the deeper you dig into this, the more that you realize, no, that's exactly what it is. That's why you have physicists like Lothar Schaefer saying things like, consciousness is an unexplainable cosmic phenomenon. To seek ultimate reality is to seek explanations until explanations end. To seek ultimate reality is to seek explanations until explanations end. What's at the end? Consciousness. And it cannot be explained. Consciousness is not thought. An explanation is a thought. It's a concept. YouTube, it comes and goes. The documentary, Everything and Nothing, it comes and goes. It is on Amazon Prime. That's where I was able to watch it. But it sometimes it's on YouTube, sometimes it's not. And then usually when it's on YouTube, it's like a third of it, and you can't watch the whole thing. So I don't know. Just be wary of that. I think it's 2 hours long. The whole thing, an hour and a half or 2 hours. And the first half is called Everything, and the second half is called Nothing. Right? And at the very end, he takes you to the core of the scientific inquiry today. And it's deep. And so this is, again, you've got Max Tegmark, you've got Lothar Schaefer, and these guys are going, wait a minute. Science is returning to pure philosophy. Pure philosophy. That's where science came from. Science came from philosophy, and it's returning there. And all of these, not all, maybe about half of the scientific community, they fully realize that, and they're going, okay, I get it. You know, the whole notion that to be a scientist means you must be atheist. Yeah, that's not true, guys. Most scientists recognize that there is some higher power. The majority, as in over 51%, they do. And it makes for a very interesting conversation when you listen to scientists talk. Now, if you look at television and the educational establishment and the government, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, they're giving you the impression that, oh yeah, no, that's not true. No, you're just a bag of bones. Nobody knows what happens to you when you die. You don't have a soul. Excuse me, you don't have a soul, which is technically true because you are a soul, right? There's no such thing as telepathy. There's no such thing as God, blah, 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 blah. You're just a bag of bones, right? There's no life force. That's all nonsense. You need proof. There's no evidence, right? You hear them say this crap all the time. Meanwhile, there's an overwhelming amount of evidence. They go, oh yeah, there's no evidence for telepathy. Really? How come there's all this evidence then? So that's what's really going on in the science community. There's kind of two sides. Okay? But the one side that's like totally atheist, and I don't have any problem with atheists. If you're an atheist, I don't care. It's just they take the additional step of being promulgated by the system, by the establishment. The establishment gives you this impression that, oh yeah, those are the guys that are really, they know what's going on, and these other scientists don't exist. There's no scientists that look at things philosophically or in an esoteric way. Meanwhile, for every one materialist scientist, which again is the more establishment scientist, you've got also one philosophical scientist. And even the philosophical scientists, they've got hard data, guys. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Like television, the system, they're lying to you about what science is uncovering right now. It's getting weird. It's getting weird in a good way. And it's starting to appear that physical reality emerges from pure information. They even have a name for this theory. They call it information realism. Very interesting. So that's the deal with the science of time. It's all about perspective. It's all about your perception of it. Is there time? Yeah. From our vantage point here in density, yes. And it's even malleable. Is there time from a higher energetic plane? This pure information, it's not hard. It's not substance. It's like just form, and that's all it is. It's like a thought. Right. And by the way, in ancient Hermetic philosophy, one of the very first disciplines that you are taught is the principle of mentalism. The universe is mental, right? Have you ever heard it said that we are nothing more than a thought in the mind of God? Well, yeah, that is literally kind of how it works. And science is actually uncomfortably brushing up against this right now. And again, only half of them realize that. The other half, they get to be on TV and they give you the impression that the first half, the philosophical guys, they don't even exist. So that's okay. By the way, everybody say hello to my other moderator, Eloquently. Hello, Eloquently. Good to see you on here. So good of you to join us today. Hit that like button for my moderator, Eloquently. She's pretty badass. So, I've made it pretty clear that this conversation around time is relative. This is very important for you to get this teaching today. When you do the thing that we call die, you don't really die. The mind as we know it ceases to exist. The body ceases to exist, or it ceases to function, but you do not. You continue to exist. And, as you guys are aware, this is basically reincarnation explained. And of course, this diagram I use all the time in my twin flame teachings to show you what a twin flame really is. Simultaneous incarnations of the same soul. But even if you have not met your other self, twin flame, it doesn't matter. From the perspective of your higher self, all of these things are happening all at once. Past, present, and future. That's why you can get deja vu or intuitive hits. Intuition. And it's this weird, eerie knowing. It's this weird, eerie feeling of information like, yeah, I know this thing is going to happen, but how do I know that? I know this thing is going to happen, but how do I know that? And here's what's really going on. There's the intuition, which is the weird, eerie knowing, and there is the questioning. How do I know that? I know this thing is going to happen, but how do I know that? So there's two things going on because they are coming from two places. One is coming from the mind, the questions, and one is coming from the soul or the higher self, the intuition. Same with deja vu, right? Deja vu is simply intuition about the present moment. Like, yeah, you've been here before. Of course you have. And how could you have been here before? Because you have. If we replace these descriptions, these labels, with, say, different points in time, perhaps different periods of time in your current incarnation. So let's just pretend this red dot right here is 20 years ago. This red dot is 10 years ago. This red dot is a week ago. This red dot is the present moment. And this red dot is 15 years from now. So from the perspective of your higher self, all of these moments are happening all at the same time, all at once. So when you're here receiving deja vu, what is the deja vu telling you? It's telling you you've been here before, you've done this before. And the mind goes, yeah, how do I know that? Why do I feel like I've done this before? Because you have. The question is, what is you? Because what everybody else does is they think that the questioner is you, the mind. It's asking questions, the ego, the personality, the separate self. And I'm not saying that's bad. That's just what that is. And there's a purpose to the ego mind. As a matter of fact, I think it was the last live that I did 4 weeks ago. That was the topic. What's the purpose of ego mind, right? Because there is a purpose to that. And that's actually something we're going to be talking about a lot today, right? We are kind of already talking about that. Because when it comes to time, you are necessarily dealing in duality, right? Which is how the mind operates, the ego mind, personality. And for any of you who've never heard me give this little spiel before, if you're unclear of what I'm talking about, the ego mind, personality, is your separate sense of self. So I am a mother, a brother, a doctor, a lawyer, a YouTuber. I am a teacher. I'm a truck driver. I'm a liberal conservative. I'm a this or that. I've been to these places. I've done these things. I went to college. I didn't go to college. It's a story, a history, a narrative. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just describing it. That's what that is. It's an individualized sense of self. And during this process of spiritual awakening, which again, I'm going to say this again, for those of you who have met your twin flame, because I got a lot of you on my channel, by design. You guys are awesome. But I'm here to let you know one of the things you're going to come to realize eventually, if you have not already, is that you're a creator. You can get your twin flame to stop rejecting you. Yeah, you can do that. But truly, the object of this is to remember who you really are. You are a soul. The soul is consciousness, it's creative. You're a creator. So, whatever you focus on becomes your 3D physical reality. It just takes a long damn time. Right? Which is what this particular live stream is all about. So, the contrast between the ego mind personality, or the identity entity, as I call it, and the soul is that the identity entity is a history, a story. It's a collection of retained thought and emotional patterns. So there's mental narratives and there's emotional narratives too, right? And the ego mind tends to be reactive, whereas the consciousness, the soul, tends to be creative. One is reactive, the other is creative. And neither are necessarily bad. The reactivity of ego mind might be a good thing. It might serve you if the reactions are useful, if they are things that do actually serve you. Like, for example, instead of reacting negatively towards an event, maybe you could react in a more objective way. Maybe things that used to trigger you, which really weren't ever such a big deal, maybe they don't trigger you anymore. Maybe you don't react to them anymore. Or if you experience like you're trying to manifest something, watch this. This is a good example. If you're trying to manifest something and you experience what appears to be a setback, you go, wait, this isn't a setback. This is just happening for me. This is God giving me what I want, right? What if that was your reaction? So you can reprogram the subconscious mind with reactions that actually serve you, new habits, right? And that's kind of how this manifesting business works. Satoriverse, thank you for your super chat. Satoriverse says, thank you for everything you do. Kurt, well, you're welcome. My pleasure. What do you think about Dolores Cannon? I like her as a person, but I don't know about the weird 3D, 5D stuff. Yes, I agree. You know, I used to throw the baby out with the bathwater with Dolores Cannon, but there is one particular thing that she did that I said, well, you got something there, sister. There was one thing that she did where I was like, no, that's a big thumbs up. Right on, Dolores Cannon. Okay, right on. You know, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. But before I tell you what that is, yeah, I feel ya. When I listen to her talk about stuff, I'm like, it's too woo-woo. You know, I try to be careful with that woo-woo stuff. And the thing is, well, you don't need the woo-woo stuff, because the things that we can confirm are already so bizarre. You don't need to make stuff up. Because I could talk to you about ancient aliens and how humans were placed here 200,000 years ago, and there is absolutely hard evidence. The splicing of human chromosome number 2 It was done intentionally 200,000 years ago. And that's a big one, guys. And then when you see all the structures that have been left around the earth, we don't even have the technology to build those things. And notice the system lies to us about that too. They tell us, oh yeah, they did it with wooden rollers. Nobody can figure out how they did it with wooden rollers. And then they gaslight and they go, oh yes, they did. They did it like this. And they argue and just, I don't argue with those people anymore. I used to, but it's like, it's so pointless. All right. I'm talking about 2 + 2 = 4. You're over there going, well, it could be 76. Okay, well, you can go ahead and have that then. You have your belief, that's fine. No, we don't have the technology to build the pyramids. It doesn't matter if you get 1 million people together with wooden rollers to do it. You'll never get it done. You'll never get it done. LaTanya, hello. Good to see ya. Now, here's the one thing that Dolores Cannon did that was pretty cool. She did take people into hypnosis sessions, hundreds and hundreds of people. And she doesn't know any of these people at the beginning, and they don't know each other. And somehow all these people are all telling the same story about the 3 waves. And if you want a objective excerpt of her describing the 3 waves, Greg Braden posted an excerpt on his YouTube channel. If you just go there and search through the videos section of his YouTube channel, there's a little magnifying glass tool, at least on PC. I don't know about cell phone, but if you go to the videos section of his YouTube channel and click the little magnifying glass, you can just type in Dolores Cannon and you'll find his video where it's an excerpt of an interview she did describing the 3 waves. And that's pretty clinical for her to do something like that. I'm not just gonna balk at that. That's I don't know, man. That's a lot of people. And like I said, they don't know each other, and they're all telling the same story. And it makes sense, and it actually fits into many of the other things that we hear in the spiritual community. You know, a lot of the woo-woo stuff this is the thing I've learned about the woo-woo stuff, right? A lot of the woo-woo stuff that you hear about in the spiritual community is true. I want to say maybe half of it is true, and then half of it is completely made up. But where things go awry is when you take the real woo-woo, the things that are true, the strange paranormal things that are true, and you add a story to it, or you try to explain why it's happening, or what you are required to do about it. And that's where I kind of part ways with that stuff, because I'm free. I don't like being told what to do. And I don't have to do anything the way somebody else says I have to do it. What I think I have to do is operate in the most ethical way possible, to have adult boundaries, to do right by other people, and aside from that, I'm free to do whatever I want. And when you look at what I do, I just work hard. That's all I do. I work, guys. I work hard for you, and you could say I'm in service, but the thing is I like doing it. And, I'm spreading knowledge, and I don't know, guys. I'm not up here just fucking around. Like, I'm making money too, which again, I'm always trying to warn you guys about the intentional agenda to create shame around money. And then at the same, so people have this shame around money, and then at the same time they're always broke and frustrated and they can't figure out why, and they never connect those two things together. And it's because the elite are busy telling you money is bad, and so it's become this cultural myth. And so people sometimes try to shame me because I take money, and it's like, well, that's ignorant. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. Abundance is your birthright. Why don't you make some money, you know? And you know, I don't want to go too far into this rabbit hole, but you know, there's something to be said about, okay, well, if I'm going to make money in this way, I better operate in the highest possible ethical way possible, and I better have healthy adult boundaries. And I even just posted a video. That was last Thursday, I think, explaining an example of healthy boundaries. You know, somebody tried to shame me for having healthy boundaries, and you know, people get really touchy about money. That's too bad, guys. That's too bad. As long as you're operating ethically and you're giving people something of value, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, beyond that conversation, what I will say about the way I live my life is, guys, I'm not just sitting up here with a cigar in my mouth, kicking back with my feet up on the desk, and all the money is rolling in. I work 12 or 15-hour days, 6 days a week. Why? Because I like it. I like doing what I'm doing. I like talking to you guys. I like talking about these topics. It's fascinating. And I gotta tell you, man, every time I see one of you guys on my YouTube channel or one of my paying coaching students succeed, God, there's nothing better than that, man. Every time I see somebody having a breakthrough, it just makes my day, dude. I love what I do. So it's kind of like I get the best of both worlds. Well, anyway, back to Dolores Cannon. You know, just watch out. Watch out for the woo. Watch out for the spiritual identity. You don't have to do things a certain way. The woo culture, some of the things that they're talking about are true. And then the problem is, where it becomes problematic is they take those things and then they build more narratives and stories on top of it. And it usually turns into you have to do things this way or you're bad and you're not spiritual. Even if the things that they're telling you to do are detrimental to you or to the other person, even if you know that it's detrimental to you, there's people that'll shame you if you don't do it. Guys, that's a religion. And I've made lots of videos about this. And I'm not here to put anybody down. I'm really not. I don't want you guys to fall into that trap, because it makes you miserable when you let people kind of like pull your strings like that. Guys, you're free. This is why, like, whenever I hear people talk about soul contracts, oh man, that is so cringy. That is so cringy. Can you have agreements with people before you come into this life? Yes. Are you required to carry out said agreement? No. And by the way, you know what I have come to realize is a lot of the agreements you make with people on the other side, which is what people are calling a soul contract. You know how to fulfill your end of the contract? Usually, almost always in these types of situations, how to fulfill the contract is to actually walk away from the person and never talk to them ever. Ever again. And I'm not talking about your twin flame necessarily, but maybe some soulmate, some toxic family member, some toxic friend, some toxic partner that you've had several lifetimes with. This is the kind of stuff that people are talking about when they talk about soul contracts, right? And it's like, oh yeah, I've got to fulfill my soul contract. Well, wouldn't that be to stop hanging out with this person because they're toxic and they're manipulative and they're bad for you? So it's kind of the logic of a soul contract. It kind of eats itself, doesn't it? It's eating itself. It's eating itself alive. You have to fulfill the soul contract. I've had people get really pissed when I challenge the whole notion of soul contracts. And then it's like, wait a minute. If my lesson to learn is to not let people take advantage of me and manipulate me, then I guess that means I have to walk away from this person and the so-called soul contract, isn't it? Guys, the soul is free. The soul is free. The soul is free. You're free. And people really hate being told that they're free. Why? I don't know, dude. Well, anyway, that's my 2 cents on Dolores Cannon. Wonderful person. Nicest lady. And she did contribute something very, very valuable. She really did. But yeah, you got to be careful with that woo-woo stuff, guys. There's a lot of ideologies in the so-called spiritual community. Let me show you guys something here. I'll sum it up with this picture here. Let me show you something here. Why are my coaching students so successful? Why are my coaching students so successful? Well, it's because I strive for excellence, and I am crystal clear about what spiritualism is and is not. Or at least ought to be. Right? And again, guys, when I have this conversation with people, a lot of people, they get really mad. That Kurt, he's really arrogant. He's attacking people. He's toxic. He's mean. He's got a big ego. Well, why would you be reacting that way? I'm not even naming anybody in particular, at least not usually. And again, usually when I'm attacked, it's because I'm expressing a pretty well-known adult boundary, or I'm telling people, hey, you're free. You can live your life however you want. And oh man, those are the things that really piss people off. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. And guys, it's not going to do us any good to kid ourselves about this stuff. There's no attacking people. There is bringing awareness to problems. Like, you need to not hide under a rock and deny that there are problematic things in the world. We can't just live in a fantasy fairy tale la la land. Like, oh, it's okay, and everything is all happy and yummy all the time, and we just have to be nice and love people, and I'll just give them a hug. Really, this is like the people who think that you can sit across the table with an Al-Qaeda terrorist and negotiate with them, and all I gotta do is just give them a hug, and if only they could just see. Guys, they're not gonna just see. The only thing you can do is cut people like that out of your life. That's the only thing that you can do, dude. And they're going to play mind games. They're going to be manipulative. They're going to throw stones at you. They do it to me. And I don't care. The only reason I have these conversations with you guys is so that you don't fall into that trap. Yeah, there are people that are going to push you around, and they call themselves spiritual. And on top of all that, what I really want to talk about is this non-duality. Going beyond concept and ideology completely. Completely. Speaking of going beyond concept and ideology, let's get back to the topic at hand, which is time. Hit the like button, guys. Oh my goodness, hit that like button. Come on. Bring it on in there. Bring it on in there, everybody. I'm working hard for you today. So, here's the thing, and I'll just kind of make it simple for you. The bigger the goal, the longer it might take. Not necessarily. See, the problem always is the ego mind. And again, the ego mind isn't bad. It does tend to be fear-based, but there's a purpose. It does serve a purpose. And as long as you're aware of it, as long as you are in a state of remembrance, remember who you are. You're not thought. Remember earlier we talked about the identity. I'm a mother, I'm a brother, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm a teacher, I'm a truck driver, I'm a Republican Democrat, I'm a this or that, I'm a whatever. I went to college, I didn't go to college, right? Whatever. I believe this, I don't believe that. That's who I am. That's what me is. And there's nothing wrong with that. It does serve a purpose. But who are you beyond that? And you might go, well, I'm a soul. Well, that is true, but that's a word. What is the soul? What is that? Well, simply put, consciousness. Now, ultimately, it is, you could say, somewhat metaphysical. From the perspective of the higher self in heaven, or the energy part of the universe, which we talked about earlier. Remember, we talked about quantum field theory and the field, which basically is the vacuum, the empty space, or what appears to be empty space. Because even Einstein, he demonstrated that objects in space bend the space around it. That's what causes gravity. So there's nothing there, but it's like there is something there. And that's the weird paradoxical nature of the scientific endeavor. Well, it is that plane of reality, P-L-A-N-E, plane of reality, that the higher self exists upon. And it exists in that higher dimension where there is no time. All events are all happening simultaneously. And from its perspective, there is a very tenuous form of duality. But from your perspective in the 3D, it's complete non-duality. And you're saying, well, how can that be? Again, perspectives. Is it empty? Is space empty? Yes. Oh, it is empty. Well, no. Kind of. Yes, but no. And you're like, well, what do you mean? Well, it depends. Depends on what you're looking at. Perspectives, which perspectives is perfectly in alignment with Einstein's general theory of relativity. Bigger, smaller. Time is malleable. The passing of time can be different depending on your relative perspective. If I'm more energetic, if I have more energy, not only do I have more mass, but also I have more time, seemingly, at least compared to you. You are less energetic. You are on the surface of Earth. I am on the surface of a planet the size of the sun. So time is slowing down for me relative from your perspective. It's all about perspective. And that is exactly where consciousness enters into this conversation. Because consciousness, you can't understand it. All I can do is keep talking around it. All I can do is keep pointing you at it. Now, I've got good news. You can experience consciousness all day long. It is the experiencer. So there's thoughts and emotions going on, right? And all of you watching, you have noticed thoughts and emotions. And you say, yeah, why am I thinking that thought? Or why am I feeling this way? Right, who's asking? What is it that notices? It's not your mind. How is it that you can be conscious of? What is awareness? And guys, I keep brushing up against philosophy here with you guys, don't I? Because it's not concept, it's beyond concept. It's this unexplainable cosmic force. And it's what you are at your very core. And it is this consciousness that allows you to have different perspectives. So again, I say to you, the bigger the thing that you're trying to manifest, the harder it may seem, or the longer it may seem to take. And that might not even always necessarily be true. You might be able to start getting yourself into a place where you're really starting to believe, oh, wait, this thing that I wanted to manifest, it's going to happen. I just know it's going to happen. Right. You just know. And again, this intuitive knowing, it's not thought. It's not emotional. It's not concept. Because the minute you experience this intuition, this knowing, the mind is right there going, yeah, how do I know that? And you think that it's you who is saying, yeah, how do I know that? But it's not you who is saying, yeah, but how do I know that? It's the ego mind. The identity entity, the narrative, the story, I'm a mom, I'm a brother, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, this is my identity. Oh, I'm thinking, I'm asking questions, oh, blah, blah, blah. You think you are that. And what I'm telling you is spiritualism, true spiritualism, is where you remember that you are the consciousness. You are the awareness of the narrative. You're here aware of the narrative teller, the storyteller, the identity entity, the ego mind, which again isn't bad. It serves a purpose. So the knowing is there telling you, wait, yeah, this is going to happen. I just know it is. You feel it. It's this weird, eerie knowing. And the mind is going, what the hell? Blah, 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 asking questions. But remember, that's not you. You are actually the knowing. That's the soul. It's a message from your higher self in the energy part of the universe, or what they used to call heaven. Still, you could call it heaven, right? Dark energy, the field, right? It exists on that plane, plane, where there is no time. And again, even science says it works that way. Now you have that knowing occurs. You're like, oh, I know it's going to happen. I'm going to get $1 million. And one of two things could happen. 2.5 days later, you win the lottery and you win $1 million all at once, just like that. That could happen. Now, is that likely to happen? Well, no. there again, I said we were going to talk about the more practical components of this conversation today too. We're going to get practical because that's going to make this make more sense to you. There is such a thing as the law of averages, right? Are you going to win the lottery? Well, somebody's got to win the lottery. Is it going to be you? I don't know. If everybody sits around and tries to manifest a winning lottery ticket, is everybody going to win? Because there's only so many people that can win. Now, somebody's going to win the lottery, and maybe everybody else who's trying to win the lottery is going to manifest an opportunity to start a business and still make $1 million. Or something like that. Like the universe is still going to intelligently direct you to how to get $1 million. And then on top of that, if you do end up being shown an opportunity to start a business so that you can make $1 million, you'll look back 5 years later and go, oh, now I know why I had to manifest the $1 million in that way. Because I was supposed to grow as a person in this and this and this way. And the way that I did that was to start a business. I needed a challenge. And now I have the money and I'm a better person, whatever. And then the other person that just wins the lottery, they just needed to win the lottery. And so, is it a paradox? Well, no. It's not a paradox when you realize that both modalities are in operation. Is there a magic? Yes. Is there a practical component to this? Yes. You have to take into account both. So again, a thing like the law of averages, which the law of averages, by the way, is it's like a statistical principle. It has nothing to do with spirituality at all. A mathematician who doesn't even believe in God, for example, he's going to tell you about the law of averages. Well, yeah, it's just, like you're only going to get so many hits. And that's just the way it is. You're only going to get so many winners of the lottery. And that's just the way it is. It's the law of averages, You can look on the back of the lottery ticket. It tells you your odds of winning are 1 in 500 million or something like that, right? So, can you manifest something quickly? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Will you? I don't know. Try it out. But here's the thing that's interesting about that too, by the way. If you stay super focused on like, when is it going to show up? When am I going to get the thing? Why isn't it showing up? It needs to hurry up. It's got to be the lottery. It's got to be right now. Come on, hurry, please. And you're in this kind of desperate way. You're pushing it away. Because all you're doing is energetically telling the universe over and over and over again, I don't have it. And the thing that people realize, like one of the first things that you learn about when you start to learn about the law of attraction is you have to be the energy of having it right now. You have to act as if and be as if you are experiencing that thing right now. Even though you don't actually have it in the 3D yet. You're trying to like trick yourself into believing that you already do have it. And that's something that frustrates people. The ego mind, it thinks that getting something to show up externally to me is going to fix the problem. So again, we're talking about time, and this is definitely relevant. If I can get this object, this external thing or experience, then I'll be satisfied. Everybody in the world, the way that they try to create is I got to do something, and then I'll have something, and then I'll be something. Do, have, be. I got to do some actions, and then I'll have money, and then I'll be happy. And they think the external thing is going to make them happy. And everybody watching, you guys all know that's not true. But then the ego is so sneaky that it like tricks us into still doing that. Right? And this, before I forget, this is something I wanted to mention in today's live stream, which is that this lack, this sense of fear and sense of lack, it's embedded in the ego. Humans have been doing this for almost 200,000 years. It's embedded. You're not going to get it to stop. This is one of the first things I teach my students in my manifesting program, my paid coaching, which is that the only thing you can really do is to just overcome it over and over and over again. That's really the only thing that you can do. You're not going to get rid of it. At least not in this lifetime. Maybe 10, 20, 30 years, or 10, 20, 30 lifetimes from now. But you can just remember who you are over and over and over again. Because it's like, well, what do I do about it, Kurt? You remember that you're the consciousness. You're the soul. You are pure awareness. That's who you really are. And consciousness is creative. You're a creator. So instead of starting with doing, you got to flip it. You got to start with being. I got to be the energy of money, or of, you're trying to manifest a lover, not your twin flame. Manifesting does not work on your twin flame. This law of attraction, all of this stuff I'm teaching you, it doesn't work. Go back to the True Twin Flame Teachings playlist. Do not collect go. Do not collect $200. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. If you use mental techniques for your twin flame, they run. It backfires. The twin flame teaching is pure non-duality. That's all it is. The only thing that I would coach you on, and the reason, like my twin flame program, for example, is so lengthy, is I'm simply preemptively warning you about some of the mental traps that I see people get sucked into all the time, that keep them stuck in a feedback loop with their twin flame. Now, when it comes to everybody else, you want to manifest a soulmate. So a soulmate, which is subjective, but just any other person, a conventional relationship. Oh yeah, law of attraction, it'll work all day long. And so you want to be the energy of, what would it feel like if I was with that person? And then what happens is you attract situations to you where you're going to be doing something which will result in you having the thing. So you start with being the energy of abundance, for example, and then you attract situations where you'll be doing work, like starting a business or getting a better job or whatever. All of these opportunities just flow to you. And then you start having. Be, do, have. And again, sometimes you can go straight from being to having, like winning the lottery. But again, we are also talking about the practical matters here. Like, well, what are the odds that that's really going to happen? And I'm not saying that to discourage you. If you want to try manifesting a winning lottery ticket, go for it. It certainly isn't going to hurt, because even if you don't win the lottery, you'll probably attract to yourself other opportunities. Or maybe you'll win on a scratch ticket. Maybe you'll win like $10,000 on a scratch ticket. I don't know. But usually what happens is you attract doing to you. And this is where, again, time comes back into the conversation as something that people perceive as a problem, because that takes time. I just relaunched the Twin Flame Coaching Program, the Introduction to the Journey. I completely redid it from scratch. It's over 20 hours long. I've coached 6,000 twin flame students over the last 5 years. I know very, very well how to teach this to people like never before. The core teachings are the same, but you're going to get a much fuller explanation of, like the pitfalls to avoid and stuff like that, right? Um, Now, when I was putting the finishing touches on it here about 3 weeks ago, I was busy, dude. I was working hard. And don't get me wrong, there are times when I take time off. Like 2021, yeah, I didn't really work at all. I did YouTube videos for fun. And I got on some of my group coaching calls out of boredom, but I didn't have to. You know what I mean? There are advantages to starting a business if you run it like a business instead of like truly owning a business. Most people own a job, and then they can never stop working. So it's kind of relative too. I set something up in place so that I can enjoy myself for a while. And then 2022, I got right back to work, and I've just been going and going, guys. I'm trying to take things to the next level. Now, um, I lost my train of thought. uh, okay, so, the sticky note. That's what it was. I was busting my ass a few weeks ago trying to get the relaunch of my Twin Flame program all completed. And I caught myself kind of like getting sucked in a little bit. Maybe experiencing it perhaps as drudgery, you know. And it was hard work. It was hard work. I'm not going to lie. It was working around the clock, 7 days a week for a month or two at a, solid. But I got it all done. And, I caught myself stressing out a little bit one day. And that's when I came across this sticky note. And it was a Facebook post. Somebody posted on Facebook a sticky note that I saw it, and it was like it came along at just the right time. It was just perfect. It was exactly what I needed to see right at that time. And that's not a mistake either. By the way, that's a manifestation too. God is always talking to you. The sticky note said, just remember, 5 years ago, you dreamed about where you are now. And it was so good and so timely that I wrote it on my own sticky note and taped it to my computer monitor. Just remember, 5 years ago, you dreamed about where you are now. And I looked at that and I said, son of a gun, you're right. This really isn't that bad, is it? It took me a few years to get everything in motion, to get my whole entire situation to a point where it's kind of exactly the way I wanted everything, right? Took me 5 years to get here. There have been a lot of permutations over the last 5 years in starting the business and getting the website the way I wanted it, and kind of revisiting and redoing some things that could have been a little better, and you know what I mean? And then my life situation too, like picking the house I wanted to live in. And yeah, I am exactly where I wanted to be 5 years ago. The vision that I had. This is exactly where I wanted to be 5 years ago. And 5 years ago when I started, I was approaching the whole thing for the first time. I really doubled down on intentionally manifesting this, like using my full power with the law of attraction to create this situation. And I got to tell you, this is a big paradigm shift compared to where I was 5 years ago. My life is completely different. Totally different. It's crazy. And that's what I was doing. I was trying to manifest this life situation. I think by now, the fact that I manifested exactly what I wanted to is kind of indisputable, isn't it? I'm sitting in this chair doing this live with you guys. Here I am doing exactly what I said I wanted to do. How about that? What are the odds that I'm just going to be handed a situation like this? The same odds that you could maybe be handed a winning lottery ticket. Not very good, guys. Not very good. So again, kind of the practical side of things. What are the odds? Well, they're not zero, but they're pretty low. The easiest thing for you to do is start with being and then allow doing to flow to you instead of trying to go straight to having. And I'm not trying to talk you out of going straight to having, because again, what if all you're trying to manifest is $100? It's just $100. Or the perfect house, like your house shopping or your car shopping. You know what I mean? You got to put this all into perspective here. Perspective. Wisdom comes from the soul, from consciousness. Remember what I said, knowledge is the mind, wisdom is the soul. Together they form a winning combination. So, can you manifest something quickly? Yeah, but it kind of depends on what it is. If it's, I just want to find the perfect car, you can manifest that pretty quick, a week. Just go look around, you'll find it. And you might even notice, by the way, when you find the car that's just the perfect car, that's when you're going to start getting hit with a bunch of synchronicities, right? It's usually how that works, right? That's when you know God is talking to you. But big goals. And so, for example, my video program, Manifest Your Dream Life, right? The paid coaching program, that's exactly what I'm talking about. I want you to make a permanent shift and become a master and change your entire life situation, if that's what you want. This is for people that are like, wait, I want to get rid of all of the struggle and suffering and all of it, at least relatively speaking. I mean, you know what they say, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water, right? You're still going to have to pay your taxes and do the laundry and pay your bills and go shopping and take care of your kids and, get out of bed and clean your house and, and there still might be a guy that like cuts you off in traffic or somebody that's rude to you at the grocery store. You're still going to get that stuff. But how can I drastically increase my satisfaction in life? How can I create a permanent life situation and I never have to worry about where my next meal is coming from ever again? So, and most of you watching, you probably don't want to start a business. This is something that I have definitely recognized, which is, most people don't want to do what I'm doing. Most people, what they really want is to find a job, to be employed, but could I find a job or an employment opportunity that I think is a really good fit and I'm really satisfied with? That's what most people want. That's great. Like, I need to switch careers. I need to find something better. It'd be nice if I could make a lot more money and actually kind of like what I'm doing. But when I punch that clock and I leave, I'm out. I'm out. Maria, thank you for your super chat. And thank you for the compliment. I think you're fucking badass too. Amen. We're all badasses here. So, if you're going to create like a big permanent lifestyle change where you never have to go back and fuck around with it again, a total life makeover, don't you think that's going to take a while? I mean, it took me 4 or 5 years, right? And I had a lot of fun all along the way. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't so focused on the outcome. But I landed here kind of exactly where I wanted to be. Exactly where I want to be, not just kind of. And I see this sticky note and I'm like, yeah, it did work. I did manifest my dream life. Son of a gun. It's indisputable. Here I am. And this is one of the things that all the great teachers of manifesting have been trying to impart to their students for millennia. You're going to have to be realistic. Is there a magically part? Oh, yeah. But the way that shows up in your reality is through people and situations and opportunities most of the time. You're going to have to go to that job interview. You're going to have to get on LinkedIn. You're going to have to update your resume and do a great job. Don't just kind of throw it together really quick, right? This is where we're describing the how. Are you super focused on the how? Well, not in the way that most people think. Because you're not like distraught and freaked out about not getting the outcome. You're just focusing on what you can do, which is to make a really super badass resume, right? Go ahead and look for those job opportunities. Fill out those job applications. You're not just going to sit here and have the thing materialize in your hand. Can you do that? Yeah, you can win the lottery. But again, we got to be realistic too. Are you going to do that? And again, I'm not trying to discourage you. If you want to try manifesting a winning Powerball ticket, go for it. It's not going to hurt. And if anything, you might find that other opportunities come to you for money anyway. So fuck it. Try it out. But realistically, there are odds at play here, yes. And that's the secret of time and how time plays into this. It's relative. It's about your perspective. Is there magic? Yes. Is there practicality though too? Yes. And when you put those two things together, you're kind of walking that sweet spot, aren't you? You're always in that zone. And I think that's what Esther Hicks calls the vortex. You're just in a place of knowing. Like, I know I'm going to be successful. And if you do that long enough, success will knock at your door. With my manifesting students, I call it the time delay. This is the number one, if not one of the number one things, one of the biggest things that throws people off, that frustrates people with manifesting is, why does this take so fucking long? Why? I don't know, dude. We live in density. We live in 3D reality. The shit's slow, okay? And this is why you see all these videos on YouTube from people talking about divine timing, which sounds like another one of those woo-woo things, but yeah, no, that's real. Yeah, there's divine timing, but I'll take the mysticism out of it for you. It's a function of relativity, of perspectives. More energetic, less energetic. E equals mc squared. Energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. That's really how the universe works. And again, science is catching up with spiritualism. So just work the playing field where you're at. Don't expect yourself to be Jesus. Just work with what you got. If you have a little ball of energy that fits in the palm of your hand, you don't need to look at it and go, that's all I've got. That's not enough. That's not powerful enough. It's plenty powerful. Just work with what you got. Remember what the Bible said. If you have but the faith of a mustard seed, you shall move mountains. And that's the deal with faith, guys. You either have it or you don't. It's not hope. Faith and hope are not the same thing. You can have a lot of hope and you can have a little bit of hope. But hope is, well, it's exactly that. I hope it happens, but I don't know if it's going to. Faith, on the other hand, is where I know it's going to happen. Even if it's just a little bit of faith, just a little ball in your hand. I got a little bit, but that's all I need. And if I continue to remember who I am as a creator, and I continue to express gratitude for this knowing that I have, that, yeah, I'm really going to have these things. If I just push through, even if it takes me 5 times longer than the ego mind thinks it should, because the ego mind, it's very impatient. And again, like I said earlier, the ego mind is externalized. So it thinks I need outside world to change in order for me to be happy. And what I'm telling you is if you start living a life of satisfaction and gratitude today, then the outside world changes. You're the cause. That out there is the effect. And what happens out there can cause you to experience emotions. It can trigger a reaction in your unconscious, subconscious mind. But this is where, like mindfulness techniques come in very helpful, because you're in a state of remembrance. I am the consciousness. I'm not the mind. I'm not the trigger. And again, the triggers are going to keep happening. Fear is going to keep coming up. Doubt is going to keep coming up. It's embedded. 200,000 years of human history. It's embedded, guys. But you overcome it again and again and again and again. And you switch to a mode of gratitude. Wait, I was told. I was given these signs. I received this intuitive hit, whatever it is. I have this knowing. Even if it's just a little bit. And you don't hold on to it. You don't cling. I'm holding on to this. No, you hold it out in your open hand. And you might even go, set it free. Don't cling to the outcome. Just be grateful that you were shown. A door was opened. Yeah, you're going to get this cool thing. Right? And I'm going to talk in a minute about how to make yourself believe that. Well, actually, I take that back. I don't want to spend a lot of time on that because I've already made a million videos about that. You can just go watch my Manifest Your Dream Life playlist, the free videos on this YouTube channel, free coaching videos, Manifest Your Dream Life. I talk about that in almost every video, like how to cultivate experiences, right? But once you start to believe that you're going to receive this thing, it's like a big breakthrough moment. Write it down, don't forget, and that's all you need to do. That's it. You don't keep like trying to cause it to happen over and over again. It's like you could switch into gratitude mode. And then the only thing that happens after that, patience. Even if it takes 5 times longer than your ego mind says it should. The ego mind is impatient. It wants it right now. It thinks getting the thing is going to make you happy, and it's not. And you already know that. You got to flip the script. You start with being. Having will not make you happy. It's not going to make you sad. That's for sure. And I don't want to say, actually, there's another thing. So a dichotomy, a paradox. I don't want to say that having does not make you happy either, because it often can. Because if you live in poverty and you don't have enough money to buy a postage stamp, kind of like how I started out 5 years ago, I didn't have enough money to buy a postage stamp. Are you going to be satisfied? Are you going to be happy? Yeah, not really. So everything, guys, there's a balance point between two seemingly oppositional forces. Like, money will make me happy, money won't make me happy. There's a sweet spot. Like, how much money should I be making? Well, that's up to you. But definitely more than the amount of money that you would be making where you can't afford a postage stamp, I would think. But again, taken too far, you end up like one of these Hollywood actors you hear about that goes off and gets into drugs and stuff, and money never made them happy. And then you hear the stories about how no matter how much money they made, they got worse, Well, yeah, because they're out of balance in the other direction now too, right? So again, this is kind of the master key. This is the secret. This is this relative perspective, putting everything into perspective, just like time. Everything. You put everything into perspective. Magical matters, practical matters. Put it into perspective. There's a sweet spot. There's a balance point. Again, Abraham Hicks, she calls it the vortex. There's that sweet spot. Balance between two oppositional forces. So, no matter how much you have to work with energetically or physically, just work with what you got. And if you continue to believe and you never ever let the 3D physical reality trick you, anything that seems like a setback, you look at it and you go, no, this isn't a setback. There's a reason for this, and I don't need to know what it is. This is where they say you don't need to know the how, right? This is God giving me what I want. So this apparent setback, right, it just appears that way. It's not really a setback. It's somehow I know it's God giving me what I want. I know it is because I was told. I was given intuition, which is information. I was given signs, or I just know it. I just believe it, and you're never going to talk me out of it. I'm going to do XYZ. I'm going to meet the lover of my dreams. I'm going to manifest $1 million. I'm going to find my dream house. I just fucking know it. And you just continue on in this state through all of the experiences that the universe brings you. It's all perfect. It's all for a reason. And it's, even if you don't understand it right now, you don't need to. You'll figure it out later, maybe after your thing shows up. And then even if it takes 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, when it finally shows up, you're going to go, son of a gun, it worked. It worked. There is this kind of time delay. That is a thing. You just have to endure, guys. You got to go right. You got to push through. You got to push through. Maybe finding that dream job is going to take you 3 months instead of 1 month, or 6 months instead of 3 months. Well, whatever. Just keep trusting. I know it's going to happen. It's got to happen. It's easy. It's easy. Of course I'm going to manifest the dream job. You see how easy it is. You keep telling yourself that stuff. You're always in a state of monitoring your unconscious habits of thought. And I'm going to give you a clue right now. Instead of focusing on the thing that you want to manifest, instead of making that your goal, instead of making that your outcome, instead, make the goal to be where you are in a place of always monitoring your unconscious habits of thought. All of that unconscious mental and emotional chatter, very important. The emotional chatter is actually more important because what you feel emotionally is actually where you're connected to the field, right? To the mental universe, right? But make that your goal. Make your goal to end up in a place where you're always just, you have this new habit. And your new habit is always monitoring your unconscious reactive habits of thought and emotion. It just becomes a way of life. And anytime a doubt comes up, this is taking too long, oh, I don't know if this is going to work, blah, blah, blah. You just go, wait, no, I don't have to believe that. That's just a thought. That's just my subconscious conditioning. That's a program. I'm here, the conscious awareness, the creator. The subconscious mind is over there going blah, 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 with all the conditioning. And that's okay. That's just what it's doing. It can do that. And then you take your focus off of it and you refocus on what you do want. Just like that. Make that the goal, to make this your habit. And again, stick it out. Stick it out, even if it takes years. You're going to have a lot of fun along the way too, by the way. Let me tell you something. Listen to this, and listen carefully. This is a little saying that I came up with. Here, I'm going to pull it up. I posted it to my Manifest Your Dream Life private Facebook group for my manifesting students. A little euphemism that I came up with. Where is it? Here it is. Listen to this. Satisfaction is found in the process of becoming, not the became. Satisfaction is found in the process of becoming, not the became. The ego mind, because it is duality, because it is so black and white, this or that, it's got to be good, or if it's not good, then it's definitely bad. Well, things are relative, and things in the real world exist on a sliding scale, Mr. Ego. And everybody's got different opinions about like their favorite color and their favorite food and whatever, right? So it's not that everything is intrinsically good or bad necessarily. It's more like, well, certain things serve you and other things maybe don't serve you. It can be somewhat subjective. But the ego mind, because it's so polarized, its duality, and again, it's externalized too, it's always focused on the outside world, it is always going to tell you, when I get the thing, then I'll be happy. And you guys, once again, you already know that's not how it works. So deprogram yourself from that. And remember, the way life is really going to work, it's not going to be a continuous experience of succeeding. Because where would it end? Guys, life works in cycles. There's good times and okay times. And they don't even have to be bad times. It doesn't have to be a bad time. There's good times and bad times. Well, yeah, maybe there's bad times also. But the more you release attachment to outcome and having everything right now, right? And work with time instead of against it. Allow things to flow to you. Don't resist what is. The more that you become satisfied with becoming, and the more you realize, wait, that is how life works. There's success, and then there's every other normal day. And then there's going to come a time when something cool happens, and then there's regular days again where I'm just kind of doing the laundry and mowing the lawn and hanging out. Just nothing. You know what I mean? And you're in this kind of flow state where you allow whatever is to be. And remember, what judges what is the ego mind. And that's its job. Its job is to help you with a thing called discernment. So the ego isn't necessarily bad either. There is a big difference between judgment and discernment. But what I'm imparting to you is things always being in this ebb and flow, things always moving up and moving down. Always are you in a constant state of transformation. Always. Things are always changing, evolving, right? That is life. That is how it works. The ego mind says that the way it should work is I get to the outcome. I get the house and the white picket fence and the 2 cars and the 2 kids and the pension and retirement, right? And then, people retire and then they look around and they go, well, now what do I do, right? And that's fine. That's fine. I mean, most people who retire, if they do it right, they find something to do, right? But the ego mind is very much like that. Once I get to this place, then I'll have it. And then when it gets there, it's still not satisfied. And all you need to do is take a step back from that and go, wait, I'm not that. That's the core of manifesting. And that's the core of spiritualism. It's a remembrance that I am not that. I am not the ego mind. I am the conscious awareness of the ego mind. Like, Kurt, how do I overcome ego triggers? You don't. You who is asking, you do not. The asker, the questioner. You are the consciousness who looks at both the trigger and the questioner, which is one and the same. The trigger and the questioner, yeah, that's the same thing, the ego mind. The ego mind wants to know what to do about itself. There's a trigger, what do I do? Right. You're neither of those. You're consciousness. And again, you take a step back from life in general and you look at it and you go, wait a minute. This is how life works. It's always this ebb and flow. I'm always in a state of becoming. Remember that. The ego mind is what tells you getting to an outcome is how life works. And that's why it freaks out so much about time. And what I'm telling you is that's not how life works. Will there be outcomes? Yes. But the truth is you're going to live a long life and you're always going to be ebbing and flowing through all these experiences. And that's where the satisfaction is found. Satisfaction is found in becoming, not the became. And that really helps you to kind of slow down. Lars, thank you for your super chat. How would I address current circumstances in 3D if someone asked me about them even if they don't match what I desire yet? Address current circumstances. Who's them? Yeah, I don't know what you mean. You might have to retype that. And while you are doing that, I might go ahead and take a quick break. Okay, I'm going to take a quick break. So if you guys want to go take a quick break, bathroom break, go grab some water or what have you, I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. I'm technically still on break. Give me a second. Okay. Cool. All right. So back to Lars. So, like, for example, if someone asked me about a... Oh, I see. Yeah, just don't talk about it. I don't know why you would need to talk to anybody about it. And I'll tell you what. You know, law of attraction, manifesting, right? I love you guys. You guys crack me up. Hello, Mini World Tarot. Hello again, Latanya. You crack me up, dude. Well, anyway, like, you're doing this law of attraction, you're a spiritual person. Yeah, people are gonna think you're a weirdo, dude. And I tell my students this all the time, like, people look at you like you're some kind of a black sheep. Well, yeah, about that. What's really going on is you're a white sheep in a world full of black sheep. And I'm not saying that in a judgmental way. But I don't know, guys, have you looked around at the world lately? I mean, if humans are doing everything right and it's all good, why is everything all fucked up? And then, meanwhile, everybody, the whole entire system, this whole system of things that we live within is busy telling us that, again, there's no such thing as ghosts. There's no such thing as telepathy. Nobody knows what happens to you when you die. You're not a soul. There's no God, on and on and on. Meanwhile, that's all bullshit. Of course those things are real. So, yeah, dude, they're not going to get you. You don't need to talk about it with anybody. You don't. Now, by the way, Lars, if you're talking about your twin flame, do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Go back to the True Twin Flame Teachings playlist. If you use mental projecting on your twin flame, they run. If you're talking about somebody else, it works. The twin flame is only consciousness. It's only the soul. It's only the soul. Okay, not your twin flame. Very good. Okay. I'm going to read to you from ancient Hermetic philosophy. And this is something that I like to talk about a lot. Well, what I really like to talk about is the magical-y shit, because everybody likes to talk about that. Because the thing is, guys, what we're saying is that you can literally change 3D physical reality around you using your consciousness and your mind. And that's it. And again, look at me. I did it. And I've got manifesting students, they do it all the time. By the way, I just want to remind you guys that I've still got this sale going on. You got till the end of the day Sunday. So you could get 25% off my Manifest Your Dream Life video course or the Twin Flame video course with this coupon code. You got to pay in full. 25% off through Sunday if you're interested. And yeah, man, this works, guys. It works. It works. It works. My manifesting students are really getting it, guys. And we pull out all the stops. We're doing everything we can to help them, just like I'm doing right here for you guys. I mean, as much as I can. Obviously, you get a lot more stuff when you pay me for it, but still, it's my pleasure to do these free live chats for you guys to give you these teachings. And it's a lot of fun too. It's a lot of fun. All right, let's get back to ancient Hermetic philosophy. So the magically shit, like you could actually change your 3D physical reality with your consciousness and your mind, literally. That's bad as shit. I want to do that, right? Now, this is what I always read from Hermetic philosophy, and there's other probably more important things in here, honestly, but people I feel lose sight of this. They lose sight of the practical matters. This is where, again, is there woo-woo? Yes. But people take it way too far and they completely disregard the practical matters in life. And that's exactly what they're saying right here. This passage in this book that I'm about to read to you, that's exactly what they're pointing out here. And I see it all the time. The divine paradox. The half-wise, recognizing the comparative unreality of the universe, imagine that they may defy its laws. Such are vain and presumptuous fools, and they are broken against the rocks and torn asunder by the elements by reason of their folly. The truly wise, knowing the nature of the universe, use law against laws, the higher against the lower, and by the art of alchemy transmute that which is undesirable into that which is worthy, and thus triumph. Mastery consists not in abnormal dreams, visions, and fantastic imaginings or living, but in using the higher forces against the lower, escaping the pains of the lower planes by vibrating on the higher ones. Transmutation, not presumptuous denial, is the weapon of the master. So, and I'm going to go through and break this down, but basically it's, if you're in denial about the practical components of the 3D reality we live in, up to and including when it comes to manifesting, if you just go straight woo, only focused on the woo-woo stuff and go balls to the walls with that shit, then you will be broken against the rocks and torn asunder by the elements by reason of your folly. So in other words, you're ignoring the practical matters in life, right? You're ignoring the practical matters in life, and they get the best of you. You ignore some perhaps potentially dangerous situation that's going to unfold. Like, oh, I'm going to quit my job. God is going to take care of me. And I know it'll be fine because I believe in magic. Right? Okay, well, you could do that, but what's probably going to happen is you're going to get kicked out of your house because you can't pay for it anymore. And you'll eventually find another job, but it'll be too late. Right? I believe in magic so much that I'm just going to ignore thinking realistically. Right? So, the half-wise, recognizing the comparative unreality of the universe. So in other words, recognizing that, yeah, there is this magical component. You really can change your 3D physical reality with faith and patience. That's it. That's badass. If I just wait long enough, yes, these things will start showing up in my life. But the half-wise, recognizing the comparative unreality of the universe, they imagine that they may defy its laws. Such are vain and presumptuous fools, and they are rocks, and torn asunder by the elements by reason of their folly. The truly wise, knowing the nature of the universe, use law against laws, the higher against the lower, and by the art of alchemy transmute that which is undesirable into that which is worthy, and thus triumph. Mastery consists not in abnormal dreams, visions, and fantastic imaginings or living. Like, for example, I'm just going to quit my job and it'll all be good. It's magic. Right. And then you get kicked out of your house because you can't afford to pay for it anymore because you quit your job. Right? Mastery consists not in abnormal dreams, visions, and fantastic imaginings or living, but in using the higher forces against the lower, faith and patience, basically, escaping the pains of the lower planes by vibrating on the higher. Well, I don't know. Annie, let's see. Hermetic philosophy. Book. Yeah, tell you what. Annie, go to Google and type in Hermetic philosophy book and look for a book that looks like this. You'll find it. It's a little black book. Okay. Annie Stewart, different Annie. Can you talk about karmic energy and how it affects us in the 3D since we are the same energy? Do I get karmic energy from that version of me also? So this is a twin flame question. So first, we need to talk about this word karmic, because to even assign the word karmic is to say that the situation should not be the way it is. You're just a karmic. That person's just a karmic. It's not supposed to be like that. Yeah, this is bad karma, man. It's just a karmic. Because everybody knows we're supposed to be together. We're supposed to be together. Like, everybody knows if you're not with your twin flame, you're a failure. Even though maybe half my students are with their twin flame, and then the other half, they're like, I don't want to be with my twin. Why? Because the purpose of meeting your twin flame is not to be with them. It's your spiritual awakening. And the paradox here is believing these narratives in the twin flame community is why they run. Like, oh yeah, it's just a foregone conclusion. Everybody knows you're supposed to be with your twin flame. That's the whole point. Oh yeah, I get it. Yeah, twin flames, yeah, they're meant for each other. It's just this, everybody, oh, we all know that's what this is. Oh yeah, it's like nobody even questions it until you come to my channel. And then I trigger people And people leave mean comments in my videos because I'm pointing out, well, believing that narrative, believing that that is the purpose of meeting your twin flame happens to be the core reason why your twin flame is running in the first place. It's a paradox. The ego mind is what's focused on an outcome. The ego mind is separation consciousness. And it's saying, oh, I got to be with that person. And I'm supposed to be with that person. And I need the person. And that's the goal. It's externalization. It's separation consciousness. And it looks at your twin flame. They're with their karmic. And they're not supposed to be with their karmic. And, you know, that's not right that they're with their karmic. And it's not supposed to be this way. So I got to do a whole bunch of healing to get my twin flame to awaken, and we're going to go through the stages and go on our twin flame mission together. And yeah, you need to go watch my twin flame myths video. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, Annie, but what I'm telling you is you're trying to figure this out. You're looking at, you know, you're not even the one doing it. You're not doing that. You're not even doing anything wrong. You're not your mind. Whatever your twin flame is doing is just what they're doing. If it's not a person, if it's just a situation, fine. That's just what they're doing. That's just what they're doing. Why does the soul do what it does? Why in a past life, in the year 1880, was I a train robber, or a bank robber, or a ditch digger, or an abusive person, or maybe I was a good person? But you've lived like thousands of incarnations, right? So, you've always been a great, upstanding, amazing person every single lifetime? No, you've been a scoundrel and you've been a saint, right? So, this is you and your twin flame. It's just your soul having two experiences. And the ego, oh man, the ego, it really hates this conversation because it sounds judgmental. And it's not. I'm just pointing out, like, the soul just wants experiences. So why is your twin flame doing that? I don't know. Why were you a bank robber 15 lifetimes ago? You know? I don't know. So whatever they're doing is just what they're doing. And whatever your mind is saying about what they're doing is just what it's doing. The mind is always going to spin these narratives about the way things should be. That's all. That's all. And you're not bad. You're not bad. It's not your fault. You're not bad. You were born into this earth like that, right? It's what everybody does that. I did that at the beginning of my twin flame journey. Oh my fucking God. I fought with my twin flame like nobody's business. Fought and fought and fought. You're supposed to be with me. God damn it. You need to stop talking to that other guy. Right? And then I figured it out. Mary Poppins, there is no difference between the twin flame experience and limerence. It's called oxytocin and dopamine. But where the twin flame experience parts ways with any other kind of experience with any other person or soul is your twin flame is you. And when you transcend the limerence and the ego narratives and all the conditioning and all the crap about the way things are supposed to be and should be, and you enter unity consciousness, you should experience a spiritual awakening. When you detox from the addictive energy of the ego mind and of your twin flame, there should be an awakening. Your twin flame is your soul. They are your spirit. So there should be a spiritual awakening, right? That's the whole point of this. And again, the core of spiritualism is remembering that you are not the ego mind. You're not the storyteller, right? You are not that which is placing expectations on this person. And you start to look at things and you go, wait, that's just the way it is. That it just is as it is. Whatever they're doing is just what they're doing. And whatever my ego mind is doing is just what it's doing. And then the limerence, it starts to kind of wind down, right? It starts to wind down. And you start having all these breakthroughs. And then your twin flame starts talking to you again. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right. We got to wrap up. Before we do, I said I was going to do a little bit of show and tell with you guys today. So we're going to do that. We're going to do a little show and tell here today. Can I flip this? I think I can flip this. No? Doesn't want to let me do it. There we go. Okay. So this is my altar. Yes, I have an altar. And I'm all stocked up on incense and candles. And it's because I'm spiritual. I'm fucking spiritual. Oh my God. Everybody, look at how badass I am because I'm spiritual. I've got candles and I've got an armillary sphere. And I got this clock, which my twin flame purchased for me. She did actually get me that clock. And yeah, and she picked out the plant, and she actually kind of designed this whole thing here, actually. But yeah, I'm fucking spiritual, man. Oh my God. Look at how badass I am, because I'm fucking spiritual, man. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, here's my wand, and I originally bought this wand to stir the incense, because I get the powder incense, and it's like one day I was using it, I was waving it around, and I was like, wait a minute, hold on a second, this is not a stirrer, it's a magic wand. I literally have a magic wand, and I wasn't even trying to do that on purpose. I just wanted something to stir my incense. And then it was like a few weeks later, I was like, wait a minute. It's a magic wand. It's fucking what it is. How about that shit? I have a magic wand. Okay, right on. And anyway, I do this every day, you guys. This is my faith journal. So all of the intuitive hits, all of the signs, all of the revelations, breakthroughs, all the messages, they all go in here. All of the things that I want to manifest. All of the things that I want to manifest, they all go in here. And I read from it every day. I burn incense, I burn candles, and I kind of put some music on. And I kind of hang out in my living room, and I cultivate emotional experiences. What is it going to feel like when I have the money or whatever it is, right? And, I just want to feel good all the time, right? Money, love, money, satisfaction. I've got protection and money and happiness candles down here. It's just all about the good feels, right? Okay. Now, does this altar cause manifestations? Like you see like the Disney cartoons, and you see Mickey Mouse with the magic wand, and he's going, and there's the magically sparkly things coming off the magic wand, and he goes bing, and it causes a thing to materialize on the floor there. So do these objects cause manifestation? Like, oh, it's a magic cauldron, and the magic itself is coming out of the cauldron, and the magic itself is coming from the magic wand. Well, not exactly. In fact, no, not at all. These objects are simply reminders for me. They're simply reminders for me. I am creating the energy. And the only reason I do this every day, this ceremony every day, is to remember what I have chosen, what I have decided, what it is that I want to manifest, right? It's to cultivate that energetic experience every day and to remind myself. So for example, whenever I write something down in here, I read out of here and I go, wait, I don't have to believe the doubt. Remember, the ego is going to be programmed negatively. It's always going to be telling you, oh, what if something doesn't work out? Oh, you need to figure out how to do this. Oh my God. And it starts freaking out about the how. And I go, wait a minute. I don't need to freak out about the how. I was fucking told. I was given an intuitive hit. I was given a bunch of signs. I was fucking told that I'm going to get what it is that I've chosen. I keep records. And then I can just switch to gratitude. Just like that. And that's all this is. Now, cool little story. One time I didn't have time to do my manifesting routine. I usually do it every day. And the next day when I opened up this book, I felt like a wind of like really good feeling and abundant energy. I opened up the book and it was just like whoosh. I felt this like energy wave of like yummy abundance energy and like satisfaction. It just whoosh. Now, why is that? Is it because the objects are magical? No, it's because I'm creating metaphysical energy. And they get embedded in objects, right? They do that. And I felt it. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. And, I do that every day to remind myself, to keep myself, kind of on track, right? And then throughout the day, I'm always, still in real time, like always monitoring my unconscious habits of thought. And that, like I said earlier, that is my goal. Instead of making the thing that I want the goal, I've made this habit the goal. And my habit is literally to monitor my habits, my thinking and emotional habits. And just keep doing that as long as it takes. Time is no problem. Time is not your enemy. Time is not your enemy. Amen. All right, guys, I gotta go. Love you guys. I'll be back in about 4 weeks. Let's see. When is the next live? Looks like July 19th. July 19th. Mark your calendars. We'll be doing another live Q&A about the middle of July. You guys, really great live today. Really great questions from everybody. Super good questions from everybody who asked a question. Thank you, Mary Poppins. Thank you, Annie Stewart, for your lovely question. Thank you, Lars. Maria, thank you everybody who asked all of your beautiful, wonderful questions. Thank you to my moderator Eloquently. You're a fucking badass. Thank you to my other moderator Annie. you're a fucking badass. I love you guys. I'll be back in 4 weeks. And, in the meantime, I'll be posting my usual comment or content on the channel. All right, guys. Mwah. I'll see you later.